This is the M1 motorway, connecting the south and the north of England. Junction 21 is the turn-off for Hemel Hempstead. Though the town is well signposted, many motorists would fail to notice the town, and in some cases it has been known for satellite navigation devices to render blank. Hemel Hempstead is a town well known for its medium-sized houses, with consequently medium-sized gardens, with most houses opting for the tried and tested door and 3 window setup, which has proved more popular than the 2 windows no door model found in nearby Redbourne. Pathways can be found leading to most of these properties, connecting each resident directly to the pavement, which has become a running theme throughout the town. During the weekdays, most residents find themselves on the 320 bus down to the train station, where they are shuttled to their jobs in the City of London. So, for the majority of the time, the town is largely vacant, meaning most activities during the weekdays go unregulated. Though Hemel Hempstead is considered a new town, it has many of the problems found in the old towns, of which a man like Markus is all too aware. Markus is currently sitting in one of his familiar haunts, the Red Lion pub, not to be confused by the also popular White Lion pub and the not so popular Yellow Lion pub. Markus is a reasonable man and is owed a reasonable sum of money by a man called Steve, who, for unknown circumstances, has made himself unreachable. Today, being that of a Tuesday, will bring the debt owed at 4 months overdue. With statistics sitting heavily on Markus's mind, like a brick on a small child's hand, he decides to call Steve. Despite being fully aware of his obligation to reimburse Markus, Steve has taken it upon himself to let the matter linger. In doing so, he has been able to distance himself further from the situation as each month passes. Sitting here now in his bedsit, Steve has convinced himself that he never actually borrowed any money. This is due to the fact he can't remember how much he borrowed in the first place. Although Markus has only tried to voice his concerns to Steve twice over the course of 4 months, each time has resulted in the phone at the other end not being utilised to its true purpose. Markus has frequently conveyed his personal opinions on the matter to himself and others.
First you're going to get the money off of Steve, and then you can get Auntie Jean's birthday card. Auntie Jean will have to wait.
In the heat of these annoyances being mentioned, Markus feels as though he has a firm grip on the situation, when in fact as soon as he stops speaking, he becomes aware of the fact that his wallet is still very much empty.
I never said there was nothing wrong with wanting to get your money back, it's just,
Although Hemel Hempstead is considered a new town, there are still some parts of the town that are evidently of an older fashion. For example, these row of terraces just off of Charles Street, where a young man is currently stealing milk from local residents. He loads up the milk into his car and moves on to the next street. Lester has always considered himself quite the entrepreneur. Though he has yet to decide how he will exactly profit from his new venture, he is unwilling to let something as unregulated as milk on doorsteps go untapped. Lester has also decided that his chances of being caught are minimal, as he reckons that most people couldn't in fact remember if they still got their milk from the milkman or not, and so therefore cover the possible shortfall by purchasing more milk from the supermarkets. Residing at 71 Cowper Road is Steve Holt. Steve rents a room in the house which he shares with the landlord and his cat Gavin. While Paul, the landlord, has been away on holiday in Margate, Steve has been left in charge of the house and Gavin, though it has been a while since Gavin has been seen in person. This is something Steve has failed to act upon with urgency, due to the fact he can't remember if he saw the cat on Monday, which was yesterday, or Monday last week. Percentage-wise, he is 70% sure it was a weekday. Meanwhile, Steve has been far too preoccupied with his forthcoming interview with the Carl and McLean Estate Agency, where he could soon fill the role of junior estate agent, before graduating to become an estate agent with a Honda Civic.
This wall, concrete, this wall, plywood, best of both worlds there. Downstairs we go. Let's check out another room in this palace.
Steve is currently showing imaginary prospective buyers around his own bedsit.
That. What is that? That's a natural light source in your dining room. Do that again. Your dining room! What's that?
Though on the surface it appears Steve is taking his interview seriously, in reality he feels his natural charm and generous height will enable him to coast through just as he did with his Key Stage 3 SATs back in the mid-90s.
That chamber of glasses. Too bloody right. Drink out of them.
It is widely known that time during the weekdays in Hemel Hempstead has a tendency to procrastinate to unbearable levels. For those who are not yet condemned to the rat race up in London, such as Markus, half an hour can often feel more like 2 hours. Markus is beginning to realise the urgency to fill out his job application form is not so great, as he already has more hours in the bank than the average man.
Markus!
For as long as Markus can remember, Lester has always worn a shirt and tie. When this fact was addressed in light conversation back last autumn, Lester informed Markus that he knew he would always get far in life just by wearing a suit. A statement Lester said he had full faith in, since wearing a suit for an open day at Chaldon Park Secondary Modern, which resulted in Lester being given a place purely on face value. When this story was followed up by Markus to other pupils at the school, they informed him that Chaldon Park was like most comprehensives in England, whereby places are decided by catchment area and not individual merit. And seeing as Lester lives on the same road as the school, this is more likely the case, something that he is sure Lester has spent his whole life in denial about.
Mate, well basically I was thinking a bit hard up for cash. And I was thinking, how much do you reckon I can milk my mates, like yearly salary wise? If I get enough milk in the boot of my car, right, I could be up to, I don't know, like 22 grand. I mean, we're outside of London.
Conversations with Lester often end up in this manner, with average yearly salary being his most favoured topic. Although this conversation appears to be harmless, Markus is keeping his wits about him.
But Lester Brown's selling milk on the internet.
Who's buying milk on the internet?
No
one's buying milk on the internet.
Talking about money, even in this casual fashion, could easily lead to a conversation about his current financial situation with Steve, something Markus is keen to avoid, as it was only last week outside the Three Horseshoes that he stated if the debt was not settled, he would punch Steve so hard he would wake up in next Thursday. A statement that he is now completely invalid, and there have already been numerous sightings of Steve.
Yeah, but who's buying milk on the internet?
I haven't tested the market
Look,
yet.
milk is not a viable source of income. All right, no one's buying milk anymore.
What am I going to do, you know? Money's tight, money's tight. I'll tell you money isn't tight for. Steve.
Steve.
Lester proceeds to tell Markus that he has spied Steve handing over large sums of money down at the newsagents. According to Lester, the whole thing was quite obscene and very tasteless, which resulted in one woman actually gasping for air.
What's he doing? What do you mean he's spending large?
He's spending large, mate. Spending large at the newsagents. God knows where else he's spending money, because it's not going the...
Although Markus is sceptical about how someone can spend large at the newsagent, it is yet another indication that Steve is living beyond his means for a man who has a debt of £65. Previous indications have included a swing ball set made entirely from white marble and gold lace. With the image now of Steve living like a suburban playboy stuck at the forefront of his mind, Markus can't help but remind Lester that Steve still owes him money. Lester, a promising businessman in his eyes only, reveals he knows where Steve now resides, and for a 10% finder's fee, Lester is willing to show Markus the address. These sorts of slapdash deals have become common ground in recent times of financial difficulty, and as tempting as they often are, in this case Markus can't face the embarrassment of having to relinquish 10% of his money just to find out where Steve lives. Murder has never seemed like a viable option to Markus, but he would be lying if he said it had not crossed his mind. For example, this disused underpass off Station Road would be ideal for committing such acts. Other sites fit for the purpose of villainy include the railway line by the Grey Goose Inn and the gap between this wall and garden shed. The main problem Markus faces is the actual likelihood of Steve ever walking past any of these locations at any given point in his entire lifetime. Instead, his usual outlet of violence has so far been restricted to inanimate objects around the house. Here we can see a very heated confrontation with a dining room chair.
Right, what are you even getting in my way for? You tripped me up and now my day's ruined and it's all your fault. You're a fucking liability, mate. If I had it my way, you'd be in the garage.
While in the process of contacting Steve, Markus made a lukewarm discovery. In all cases up until last night, Markus has hung up after 5 rings. 5 being an optimum number to prove he is vaguely serious to get hold of Steve, but not enough for Steve to answer if he is in a different room. In his liquidated state, Markus went past the obligatory 5 rings and ended up at the voicemail service provided by O2. Needless to say, the message was fairly aggressive and incoherent, with "gonna properly do you in, mate" and "bruised up" being the most popular choice of phrases. Though it is in Markus's nature to let the matter linger until it becomes too awkward for either party to resolve, Markus is very aware that Steve knows where to find him.
Hi, it's me. Yeah, I know it's early, but I really need the address.
During this conversation, Lester informs Markus that for a small share of the money, He can bring along a blunt object as well as his intimidating black jacket, a jacket that Lester claims he was banned from wearing at school, as it commanded more respect from the pupils than the headmaster, something the school considered very dangerous at the time.
You are very, very dangerous people indeed.
Instead, Markus agrees that Lester will be present without weapon, in case the situation becomes volatile.
Right, if you just you sit down,
Sure.
I'm gonna go get changed and we'll talk then, yeah? After
Okay.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although Markus wouldn't take his own threat seriously, there was always a small chance that someone might actually take him at his word. And now, in a sober frame of mind, the word is sorry. Gerald Butterwinkle, a former friend of Steve, was once asked a series of questions for a local newspaper on the effects of dishonesty in the community. Gerald was quoted as saying, "The thing about dishonesty is I once asked Steve Townsend to buy me a pack of Benson and Hedges cigarettes, but instead he came back with a pack of lies."
I sent into the garage, said 20 Benson Hedges, Steve. And he came back with a pack of lies. Dishonesty in the community.
Though it was never quite established how this affected the wider community at large, the paper was running up to and between 200 and 270 words short across most articles, and seeing how they had already increased the font size to 24, they had little choice but to put Gerald's statement to print.
Yeah, sorry again, I dropped around so early, mate.
That's alright, mate.
I just, I got your address off a mutual friend and thought I'd pop round.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I am actually in a bit of a rush. I've got christening to get to, so little Dave.
Little Dave, he's your...
He is my cousin. Do you see that, Dave there? He's with...
I see.
Although Markus is 100% positive the child on the phone is not called Dave, he is reluctant to point this out in case the man he is dealing with has the potential to go completely insane.
I wanted to know if you got a message from me last night?
Message? No, I didn't get any message.
You didn't? Oh, that's fine. It was just a drunk message. Don't worry about it. But the reason I'm here is to get the money that you owe me.
That 50 quid? God, that's from way back when now, isn't it? Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's someone's fault. I just need it back.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I'm actually in between jobs at the minute, so...
I thought you were working at the biscuit factory.
No. I don't work at the biscuit factory anymore. Yeah, but there is something in the pipeline, so you'll get that money soonish.
And that's nice, but I need that money now.
Yeah, and as I say, I'm currently in between jobs.
Well, is there any way...
Again, checking the clock there, I'll just get my keys. So...
Although these could well be plausible reasons for Steve not having the money to hand, Markus is actually starting to realise after all these years that Hemel Hempstead doesn't even have a biscuit factory. With £25 in his hand, Markus is again contemplating violence.
No.
As always, his lack of faith in his ability to connect knuckles to face is preventing him from such acts. With this in mind, he can't help but think that if he were taken more seriously as a man, it would never have come to this.
This is fine, this is okay, this is not even enough.
Yeah, so, just one question. That voicemail. What exactly was that voicemail about? Yeah, what are you going to do? Huh? Oh! Christ on a bicycle!
She didn't know what she was doing. She could hardly understand.